Hey guys, Effie here. Today I'm going to make this card using our Celebration Rose Cluster stamp set. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel because I upload new videos on a weekly basis. So let's get started. We're going to be doing a little bit of rose gold heat embossing with this beautiful cluster image using our rose gold embossing powder, and I'll be embossing the image onto some watercolor paper. I'm using Canson XL 140-pound paper, and I'm stamping this cluster at the two corner edges, but I'm making sure to turn the stamp one way or another to make sure that the images stamped on the paper aren't the same, because I don't want to be too repetitive. And I also stamp a few of the ferns and foliage next to the clusters to give the card a more fuller look. So once I've spooned on our rose gold embossing powder, I just kind of dab away some of the stray powders with a small tipped paintbrush. And then I melted all of that embossing powder of the cluster images. But before I begin painting, I'm just going to go ahead and heat emboss the happy birthday sentiment, which comes from the same stamp set. And I'm just using the same rose gold embossing powder. Now I'm going to begin watercoloring. I'm using my Dr. P.H. Martin's Radiant Concentrated Liquid Watercolors. This is the scarlet hue, and it's a really beautiful shade of rose when it dries. So now I'm going to watercolor. I'll be doing some wet and wet watercoloring because I want a nice blend of that scarlet watercolor. So I wet the area of the rose first, the area that I want to paint, with clean water, and then I just start dabbing in a little bit of the scarlet watercolor, which I picked up with a fine tip water brush. And then I use a second fine tip brush to blend that color out a little bit towards the edges of my petals, and I'm going to repeat the process for each layer of petals just using this one liquid watercolor. Once I finished painting all the roses, I just kind of added a yellowish greenish glow around my celebration rose clusters. And I'm using the grass green and lemon yellow Dr. P.H. Martin's Radiant Watercolors that come in the same set as the Scarlet, which is the set A. I forgot to mention earlier in my video that I'm using a ceramic floral watercolor palette that I'll be linking in the description box below. Once I finished painting the panel, I set it aside to dry completely, and then I took the largest die from our double stitch rectangles large die collection to add stitching to the edges of the panel. So once I ran it through my die cutting machine, I peeled the die from my panel, and then I just adhered the panel onto a side folding A2 card base using our double-sided adhesive, which is really strong adhesive that I like to use when I'm adhering watercolor paper onto my base. Next, I'm going to adhere some clear rhinestones onto my card, and I'm using some Ranger Multi-Matte Medium as my adhesive. Now, these rhinestones come in 3 different sizes, and they're really beautiful because they have no backing, and they take on whatever color you adhere them onto. So they look like these beautiful droplets. And I'm using a pickup stick to help me get these onto my project. And my card is now complete. If you haven't done so, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube for more projects like this. As always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye!